Welcome back to part 2 of the Bucephalus Mine series, and what I've done for this series is segment this series into 6 mini-series rolled up into one as part 2. So this is about a 2-hour tutorial segmented according to a recap of the miner build, how to configure a Trezor wallet, how to send money from a Coinbase account to a Trezor wallet, cold storage if you will, back to the Coinbase account, and then how to prepare the miner for ETHOS, how to download that distribution and then burn it onto a hard drive via ISO, and then updating the miner BIOS and installing ETHOS on the build. And lastly, configuring the miner wallet for a Nanopool account addressed to that Trezor wallet or for cold storage outside. Anyway, it'll be a good time here. 2 hours coming up here, and we will go ahead and segment into a recap of the miner build, showing what's going on with the motherboard. I will conclude this series with a send-off or bon voyage into part 3 of this mini series, or I'm sorry, of this series that will discuss how to overclock the GPUs of this build to max these out for a higher hash rate and hopefully make more mining possible for you all. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the tutorial. We'll get started. All right, folks, we're gonna try and do a quick recap here, and I was kind enough to bust out my 10mm lens to make this happen and get a little bit of a closer wide angle view, and I'll be using this pointer to sort of maybe get a tighter indication or view about what to be looking for here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to demonstrate this. So one of those daisy chains that I told you to buy, at least a reference on that gist, they're gonna arrive like so. I'm gonna take one of them off. Dismember one of them completely just to kind of show you what's up here. So I'm unplugging it. So make sure that's correct. Okay, so they require a SATA power connection and a connection junction point to that SATA port fan, and I'll go back to the motherboard to sort of go over one more time what goes where. And let me grab this. Okay, so that's how one of these daisy chains will arrive. One of them, you can see here, one of these will arrive in the mail or from Amazon as you order them. So these are connected. They're all sort of daisy chained together here. You can see like how one's connected to the other. So I've got one of these that's connected to the original over here. It's in the motherboard. I don't know if you can see that, but right here, look at my pointer. It's over there. We'll get a tighter view of this in the next transition, but right there is exactly where you want to plug that in. And again, just mind where it's plugged in, and we'll get a closer view here momentarily. But that's, so what this connection, they've got one of these, that right here is plugged into the motherboard. So then it's daisy chained again. This connection right here, this fan cable, right? This fan cable is connected there to one of those daisy chain ports. So it connects like that. And then the other loose one is connected to another one. And then the other daisy chain port is connected to another daisy chain. And then it daisy chains all the way back across the entire fan case. And if this is too confusing, I would just forget about it. Honestly, it's ideal, but not necessary, especially if you only do one or two of these. So I'm plugging that in like I did, one of these daisy chains there and there. And you can see where the other connections are. There's a fan case connection here. I'm gonna plug that in there. And there, okay. And this one will go in the other one. There, okay. And then each of these, the fan case will have a, those windmere fans or rose wheel fans will have a SATA power connection. So that goes in there by SATA Polynex cable. And that SATA cable goes into that SATA input. And that SATA power connection goes into the SATA connection in the back, as I've referenced before. Again, this is ideal. I wouldn't really kind of need it or require it. And again, here's the one other thing I wanted to go over while we're back here is the hard drive connection. Again, we'll go over this in a second, but that's This hard drive connection goes in here on the hard drive. And again, we'll go on the back side here, but you can see it goes like that, like so. And again, it's a SATA power connection. So this is how it powers the hard drive, that SATA connection. And then this plugs into the hard drive there. And that is what interacts, or at least connects to the motherboard. There's a motherboard connection here on that ASRock. You can see it there. See that there's 4 of them. You can stick them in anywhere. I'll demonstrate that if I can. You can see, but I'm just plugging it in real easy. So just to make sure I did everything correctly, I'll just get that fan to make sure. Hopefully it doesn't blow up my face, but let's try it. The power might not be on. Yeah, okay, good. So I did it. You can see this fan spinning. So let me go ahead and transition to the back, and we'll conclude the wrap, or at least recap, of what goes in where for the motherboard configuration, or at least the build configuration. All right, folks, as promised here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in the back here and just take a quick recap of the back. We have our HDMI to VGA cable here. That's where that connects over here. It basically, as let me just quickly demonstrate. I'll pull out this USB drive. That USB drive will contain the BIOS update that we downloaded. Again, that should be FAT32/MS-DOS format. First format that USB drive first with FAT32 or MS-DOS format. Then upload that unarchived or unzipped file from ASRock, the BIOS update. That's what that BIOS update file will be. So take that off, and I'll unplug this and replug it in for the sake of demonstration here. Screws back in like so, and boom, that's the VGA-ed HDMI cable. Next is the keyboard and mouse. Those are the USB ports there. Plug those in accordingly, like that. And this is that ASRock BIOS update file. After this, let's see what else we have here. You have the LAN connection cable. That just Cat6 cable plugs in like so. And then lastly, those are those PCIe Express, the risers. These are the GPU risers up here that connect into the PCIe Express cards or cables. These just connect and reconnect like so. It connects right into the motherboard. And that's how you connect all 6 of these, or 8 if you are so inclined. If you do 8, make sure that you situate them so they're not touching each other. If they get too close like this, say if I was to plug this in, because to have 8, you're going to have one of them side by side to each other. Make sure that these connection cards, they don't touch each other, because if they touch each other, there could be some interference, and that would prevent them from being read by the motherboard and encase hash. So you only pick up, I guess in this case, maybe 5 or only 4 GPUs, since they wouldn't necessarily connect with each other, or they'd be interfering with each other, so you'd only have 4 read. So anyway, make sure those are separated if you're doing 8. If you're doing 6, just separate them, use every other slot, every PCIe slot. There's the CPU fan, recapping there. There's that GPU, I'm sorry, the Shaw fan for the case fans in the back. That's right back here, if you can see where I'm pointing. Try to zoom in a little bit more. You can see here's my pointer. I'm pointing all the way, it's in the back here. And then there's that USB, that SATA connection cable, it's back here. So I'll try to see if I can situate the camera a little bit closer so everybody can see. You can see my pointer is right over here. It's pointing to that connection. So there's that pointer. You can see it. Hopefully you can zoom in, or at least take a look. I'm pointing at it right there. It's in the back of the board. It's connecting there. And there is that case fan. That's for the case fan connection. So anyway, that's that. And then pulling back one more time here to periph power cables. You can see those, as you've seen before, right here. And then right over here. So that's it. Like I said, that should sort of recap the back here and how things connect, what and where. CPU fan there, periph power here, PCIe connections here, and then the RAM cards and the RAM sticks are in the back. So everything else should be pretty much ready to go. Again, I'll just demonstrate this, how to turn that on. These, that power connection cable, again, one more time for the sake of demonstration. I'll put that camera up a little bit closer here. But if you can see where my pointer is, again, there are two little blades here. It's the second row down. These two there's a 1x2 grid over here of power blades, or basically two prongs sticking out of the motherboard in the top right corner. And it's going to be the second row from the top. That's where you'd slide that power connection cable in. So it's the second row from the top. So it'd be the third, I guess it would be the third row down. Let me see, third row down from the top. That's how that powers in, if memory serves. Let me see, and I'll turn it on. Again, just click it. Yep. So that's the third row from the top. And again, that concludes it. So we'll move now into the EthOS prep and go from there, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Okay, folks, we're going to segment part 2 of the Bucephalus Mind series into one part explaining how to unbox and configure the Trezor wallet, and another part explaining how to send and receive Ethereum to and from a Coinbase account. So the first part of this segment will feature me unboxing this in front of y'all, and then we'll move on screen with the rest of the screencast to demonstrate how we set up a Trezor wallet with my Ether wallet. And we can go, let's just get started right now. I'll unbox this. And this is featured on that GitHub Gist parts list that you may be referencing right now. I might need a pocket knife for this. I do. Okay, very straightforward. Here's the Trezor wallet. Unboxed. Comes with a USB cord. So what I'm going to do now is take the protective film off the Trezor. And then I'm going to plug in the mini HDMI, I guess the mini USB port into the Trezor, like so. I'm going to plug the USB drive, I guess, or this now is a Trezor connected by USB into the iMac. So I'm going to reach around my iMac. Just make use the other screen for this. And now it's plugged in. Okay, so the next part of this segment, you'll see me transition down below into the bottom right corner, and we'll proceed with the rest of the tutorial. Okay, folks, bottom right corner of your desktop as promised. In front of my screen right now, and hopefully in front of yours, you have two Chrome browser windows set up, or two browser windows. On the left here, I've made a gist for how to set up a Trezor wallet, how to proceed with the rest of this mini-series. And in addition to that, I have the Trezor wallet page open as instructed by the Trezor wallet USB. So it's connected. The Trezor wallet is connected into the back of my iMac or the back of your PC. And on the instructions within this Trezor wallet, it says, "Welcome, please visit trezor.io/start." And that's in the right window over here. I am going to go ahead and select Trezor 1. Okay, so it's time to install a firmware, update this device. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and hit install firmware. It's going to download and install the firmware automatically. While that's downloading, I'll also show you, this is the Ethereum account wallet that is the Ethereum Block Explorer, referencing all of the transactions incurred or for all of the mining activity the company or my company has generated, of mining activities generated since the last 50 days, 60 days or so, I believe. And since it's been 54 transactions, yielding about $7,000, a little over $7,000 at the current spot with Ethereum, which is $669. So while we wait for the Trezor wallet to install now to the right, we'll go ahead and wait. So let's wait. And it says, please connect the Trezor to continue. As instructed here, my Trezor says, new firmware successfully installed. You may now unplug your Trezor. So I'm going to unplug it. And now I'm going to replug the Trezor back into that mini USB drive. Or USB port, pardon me. Plugging it back in now. Okay, and it says, update finished successfully. Please reconnect the device. And now on my screen it says, please reconnect Trezor to continue. So I'm going to unplug it now. I'm going to unplug the entire USB port from my iMac or PC. Unplug it. Okay, now I'm going to plug it back into my iMac. Give me 1 second while I try to find the port. Okay, now I'm going to say create a new wallet instead of recover the wallet, because I'm not recovering this one. So we're creating a new wallet. Create new. So now it says my Trezor is ready. And it says, but first let's get familiar with the various features of the Trezor wallet. Use labeling, add transaction comments, or your name said. I'm just going to go ahead and continue to the wallet. Y'all are welcome to explore this on your own, but I'm going to go ahead and close out of that window and set up with the tutorial here, or the wallet with my Ether wallet. So we're going to now go to myetherwallet.com. I'm going to place this over here next to that GitHub gist. And I am now going to say, we're going to go to myetherwallet.com as referenced again on this GitHub gist. Go to myetherwallet.com, click on that. It'll be hyperlinked once I update this later. Click on that. It should be directing you all to here, myetherwallet.com. So now that my Trezor is connected locally through a client, a web client, I'm going to go ahead and connect to Trezor. It'll say export public key for Ether account 1. I'm going to go ahead and hit export. Okay. Select HD derivation path. I'm going to select, let me see here. I'm just going to go ahead and hit unlock your wallet. And select Jax, MetaMask, yes, Trezor, ETH, and Digital Bitbox. So go ahead and click that. And then I'm going to select the first one that's available to me. Your address, 0xc. Just select whatever's available for you all there. This will be different for whatever your build's assigning with. This will be automatically generated uniquely for your wallet. So go ahead, hit this top left one that says Trezor ETH, that derivation path, and then right here at your address, just select the top one. I'm gonna hit unlock your wallet. So now my wallet should be unlocked, and I've got a wallet that's ready to go. That's basically about it. So after this, you're going to want to figure out exactly how you can proceed with the rest of this tutorial. So we've got Bitcoin here. There should be nothing there. And we've got we should see our seeds somewhere. Yeah, protect your coins from the unexpected. Now, create a backup in 3 minutes. Before creating a backup, you should know your recovery seed is a backup key to all your cryptocurrencies and applications. So you'll want to click this. I understand and agree. And again, I just want to make sure of something here. Click out of that and see if it clicks back into our Ethereum connection there. Yeah, so it's referencing us back to our Ethereum wallet there. Good, okay. Create a backup in 3 minutes. I'm going to do that now with y'all. All right, things to avoid. Do not take a photo of your recovery seed. Do not write it in a computer. Do not save it on your cloud storage. Never upload it on the internet. So again, don't do anything that I'm telling you or you're seeing on screen. I'm just showing you this for the sake of the tutorial. Please do not share any of this. Don't do anything what I'm about to tell you what to do right now. Please do not share this or distribute what I'm about to tell you. Just whatever I do now, save it locally. Do not share it with anybody. Do not distribute it. Don't do anything else with it, okay? Just take whatever you're going to write down and take whatever you're going to write down, write it down on a piece of paper, and don't share it with anybody. Put that piece of paper in a safety deposit box, ideally, or someplace safe, but ideally a safety deposit box. Store that offsite, again, with your Trezor wallet. That would be the ideal. So anyway, I'm going to hit continue. Write down your recovery seed. We're going to find the recovery seed. On your Trezor, you will see a unique combination of 24 words, which will allow you to recover your account in case you lose your device. The order of the words is very important. Please write it down. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and cycle through all of them. The first one that says here, it's giving me one word, and the first word is palace. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and take my pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to write down every single word that's written, or at least displayed, on that device. So one is palace, and they're all lowercase, it appears to be. There is a little instruction book, or a little booklet y'all can write down these seeds with. It's provided by Trezor, but I'm just going to take a piece of paper and write everything down. So the next part is me writing down approximately 24 words as displayed here, and we'll go from there. But I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So I'm writing them down now. Do this. Like I said, write these down. These are going to be unique to you. So even if I do share these, it won't matter because they'll be unique for each device. So I'm just writing them down. I'm going to hit next. Every word, the third word is this, scorpion. So I'm just sharing that because I really don't care. This is just a dummy wallet with nothing in it. So just keep writing them down and hit next. It'll tell you which word you're on. So I'm on the 15th word and I'm just writing them down on a piece of paper. Okay, so there are 24 words that'll consist or comprise your seed. So there are 24 words that are effectively the seeds of your device, and there are 24 of them. And then you'll write them down, and then it'll ask you to verify them again. So I'm going to toggle through them again one more time to make sure I've written them all down next to. So I've done 1 palace, and then 2 nose, 3 scorpion, and again I'm just sharing these for the sake of the tutorial. I don't care about this wallet because I'm not going to have more than maybe $100 on this to show you all exactly how to run this. But don't share any of these seeds. Anybody treat these as if they are gold. like something very valuable you're not going to share with anybody else. Don't even store these on a password manager like LastPass or 1Password. Store these offline, again, ideally in a safety deposit box or a fireproof safe, something to where it's going to be fine. Like, because you just don't want to have this floating around. This is as good as gold as cryptocurrencies continue to go up. So you do not, just keep these very safe and sound somewhere. Again, ideally in a safety deposit box. So toggle through them once again. Make sure all of these are next to the same. Like if you wrote down 6, and my word is 6 is project, so it's outlining or corresponding to what I've written down so far. Okay, so it'll say finished. So I'm finished. Everything that corresponded checked out. So now it says you have successfully backed up your device. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Now I'm going to go ahead and why you should name your device. I'm going to go ahead and name it. I'm just going to call this Bucephalus tutorial or something. I'll call it Bucephalus Mind tutorial. You call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Bucephalus Mine. Or I'll call it Bucephalus Toot. Confirm to continue. Okay, confirm action on your Trezor device. I'm going to look at it again. It's connected to my USB. And it says, do you really want to change name to Bucephalus Toot? I'm going to say confirm. You chose a wonderful name. I'm going to continue. All right, so I'm going to choose a pin. This is, do you really want to set a new pin? I'm going to hit confirm. I'm going to go ahead and pick a pin to something random. So on my, they'll be randomly corresponding here. So in this case, it'll say something like from top left to right, like, so I'm starting at the top left. Mine says 546913287. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that those are corresponding to whatever I'm going to choose. So again, from top left to right, it says 546913287. But in your case, it'll be mixed up, but just make sure they sort of correspond to each grid here. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick something random. I'm going to pick, since I said it's 546913, I'm just going to go ahead and pick everything on the right, on the corners of this thing. And that's again that's just my prerogative. I'm choosing whatever I want here. So I'm going to pick 5. In my case, it says 5627. So that's my password. I'm going to write it down. 5627. Okay. And I'm going to go from there. I'm going to hit enter pin. And again, I'm going to make sure that whatever pin I just entered is going to correspond to the new grid. So, and the numbers will be jumbled again. They'll be reset on your Trezor device. They'll look different. So in my case now, it says 756219834, which is different than what I previously said. So again, I'm going to write down that password, and it's 5627. So again, that's how it is corresponding now. It's because that was 756219834. So again, I'm just choosing what it says now. So I'm confirming the password I entered previously, and now it's, in my case, 5627. So it's 5627 in my case. But again, just make sure it corresponds to what you entered previously. I'm gonna hit enter pin, and there it is. Continue. Your new pin is set. Your pin is set. And that's it. I've continued. That's it. So awesome. You're all set. Your Trezor is ready to go. So that's it. That concludes this part of that segment. So again, if you want to go back to Ethereum, let's just go ahead and do this for the sake of exercise. I'm going to eject the device just so we can confirm that we did this right. I'm going to eject it now. Okay. I'm I'm going to say forget it. So now I'm going to eject it. Okay. I'm going to say forget it just for the sake of exercise here. Okay. So now I'm forgetting it. And now I'm going to plug it back in. So again, I entered it in. So in my case, my password is 5627. They've been jumbled up again on screen, but I plugged it back in my iMac. So I'm going to enter in the corresponding 5627 password that I chose. It's, in this case, 5627. Okay, and there we are. So now we're in, and I'm going to try to access the Ethereum wallet that we've created, or at least accessed before. So I'm hitting that. I'm going to go to Ether Wallet. That's going to direct us to my Ether Wallet. I'm going to say my Ether Wallet is not a bank. Great. Okay. I'm just going to hit exit. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and hit Trezor. How would you like to access your wallet? I'm going to say Trezor. That's what we're using. Connect to Trezor. Again, that's connected to the Trezor I have connected here. I'm going to say export. I'm going to say the wallet that I want to interact with. I'm going to choose that address. We're going to use that. I'm going to hit unlock your wallet. So again, that's the address. So you want to write this down. When you use that, whatever you chose here, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to copy it and just save it into a text file. I'm just going to go ahead and hit. I'm going to say text editor. So I'm just saving this to a text file. Move it back here. Saving that, and that's what we're going to be using later. So again, just leave it as is. We'll leave it. I'm going to exit out of it so we can access it again. I'm just going to hit exit from my Ether wallet just to show you that that's what we have here. So you can see that one is still there, that key. When you access that first one, I've got an assigned address for that Trezor wallet. It's 0xc, what I wrote down here. So the wallets, for receiving purposes, if you're creating like that, you can use that way to make sure that you receive something. So I'm unlocking it. And then we want to have one that's receiving. Folks, let's go ahead and wrap this first mini-series of Part 2, Bucephalus Mine, how to set up a Trezor wallet. On the left here, you have the gist that I discussed in the beginning, the instructions. Please follow along with this video in addition to reading these instructions, but with the gist provided. And I've confirmed receipt of the Ether Hex wallet key with Nanopool. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, so just disregard this. I'm just confirming receipt that we've correctly set up or configured a wallet for mining. So again, we'll transition into the next mini-series of Part 2. This will be how to send and receive Ethereum with a Trezor wallet. And again, please follow me along into the next transition. All right, folks, that concludes the first mini-series, how to set up a Trezor wallet to send and receive Ethereum. The next mini-series of Bucephalus Mine Part 2 will be transitioning into another mini-series, how to send and receive Ethereum between a Coinbase account and the Trezor wallet we've set up. So please just follow me along. That'll be released within the next couple of days. And then the entire Part 2 will include roll-ups of these mini-series. And that will be released next Wednesday, May 9th. Thank you. Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and do one more mini-series of the Bucephalus Mine Part 2 series, how to send and receive Ethereum from a personal Coinbase account to the Trezor wallet we just set up. And if you could please follow me into the next transition, we will begin how to send the Ethereum from the personal Coinbase account. Folks, let's do a quick recap of what we did before this transition. We have the Trezor wallet, we've set it up. I'm going to start again from the beginning. I'm going to plug this into the back of my iMac and go to https://wallet.trezor.io. I presume if many of you are following this or watching this YouTube, you're at least considering a Coinbase account or already have a personal Coinbase account. I've got a company Coinbase account and with one with GDAX and a couple other ones throughout the exchanges out there. But anyway, I do have a personal Coinbase account. I've already signed up for one. It's very straightforward to do this. It's like PayPal. If you ever set up an account with PayPal or Venmo, there is like a authentication deposit you verify on your account over at your bank, wherever it is. I've got a local one that I set up here that really I've got under $1,000. So hackers, feel free to hack away. Chances are you get in trouble, and you really won't find much in this little local play around account that I have. But anyway, that's a savings account you can connect, as it were, with PayPal or Venmo. You can do the same thing with Coinbase. So anyway, long story short here, I'm going to go ahead and plug the Trezor into the back of my iMac. And then I'm going to go to that wallet.trezor.io in the right window over here. I'm going to enter in the corresponding PIN that I've assigned to this, and that we did with y'all as well. So in this case, it's going to be accordingly. For me, it'll be different for you. Okay, and I should be signed in now. So we're going to go ahead and select the drop-down menu from the Trezor. This is, again, a local client that's interacting with the device here. I'm going to select Ethereum. Then we're going to go to my Ether wallet that's connecting there by API with the local device we have here, the Trezor. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. I'm going to select Trezor. I'm going to select Connect Trezor. I'm going to export the public keys assigned from the Trezor device to the Trezor hard wallet. And then, same deal, I'm going to select the same default derivation path. Just leave it at the top left corner there, Trezor. It says it there as indicated. And then I'm going to select the top address that I've been interacting with for the intents and purposes of this tutorial. That's going to be this one, this hex key here. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and it's going to be different for you, remember that. But it's still going to be the default top one, the first one. I'm going to go ahead and hit unlock your wallet, and there we go. Now, I've already sent one Ethereum over, and I believe it took 3 minutes and about 55 seconds or 5 seconds, whichever. But anyway, under 4 minutes earlier today from my Binance trading account to Coinbase and then over to my personal Trezor. Again, I wanted to test to make sure everything was, clicking and working just fine for this tutorial, and it did. So anyway, I reloaded the personal Coinbase from my Binance account, as you can see here, and we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to send one Ethereum over from my Coinbase account, my personal Coinbase account, over to the Trezor wallet that we've configured, the local device here. So anyway, that address here can only receive. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that, and this is very important to note, because when you're in this client, you can only send from my Ether wallet. So I have that hex key, even that, the one we selected from that radio button menu. Anyway, this account address right here, it can only receive Ether. So it's very important to note. I'm going to go ahead and edit and copy for the sake of clarity. Edit, copy, and then I'm going to go to the Ether wallet and the Coinbase app over here. Okay, I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to hit send. I'm going to hit send over here. Okay, that's very important to note. We're going to send funds from the Ethereum over to my Ether wallet that's connected to my ledger, my Trezor. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send. We're going to take that recipient address over here. I'm going to paste it over. I'm going to Control V in my case. So there it is. Let's make sure that's the right one, 068. You can just kind of eyeball this, but it's pretty. We can be pretty sure that that's correct, unless you've been copying and pasting addresses all day, which I have not been. But I want to make sure that's correct. So the last four digits are 422. So anyway, it's checks out as a appropriate or possible legitimate Ethereum address. So we're gonna go ahead and hit. I'm gonna hit the max. I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and hit. Let's just do 1.18. Let's just hit max. And there is a what? Should be more than that. But I have more than that. Oh boy. Okay, I know what I did wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that again. Sorry, it's getting late over here, folks. All right, Bucephalus toot. All right, so we should be covered here. I'm gonna hit continue, and we should be good to go. I'm gonna hit continue. All right, then it's gonna ask me to verify for two-factor authentication, which I've assigned, which hopefully you all have done as well. And I believe in this case, it's going to be all right. So it's on its way. And again, I clocked it over as about 4 to 5 minutes. So that's how long it should take. I will probably just pause or maybe fast forward upon confirmation of receipt in the My Ether wallet. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to send it from this account, from My Ether wallet. We're going to just go do everything in reverse. I'm going to send it from My Ether wallet back to my personal Coinbase account, just to kind of get the, for the sake of thoroughness there. So bear with me here. I will be back here momentarily, folks. All right, folks, what I want to do now is go forward in reverse here. So I'm going to take the Trezor one more time. I'm going to plug it back into my iMac here. Okay, and then we're going to pull up that wallet.trezor.io address like we've done before, and then I'm going to enter in the corresponding password, how it's situated in the layout. Again, this will be different for you all, but not for me here. I'm going to enter in my own, and let's go. Okay, it is retrieving the information stored on my local Trezor. I'm going to select Ethereum from the top left, that drop down up there. You can see we're going to click on the go to my Ethereum wallet, or My Ether wallet, pardon me. Okay, and then I'm going to hit OK. And then again, as we've done before, I'm going to hit Trezor. Boom, connect to Trezor. Excellent. I'm going to hit the export the public keys like we've done before. All the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to select the top address. And again, we're going to use this later, that same address for the mining configuration in this part 2 for the ETHOS, but we're going to go ahead and select the top one. This will be different for you. Remember, this is your hex key. It'll be different, but it's going to be the same one you'll be referencing. That first top one will be the same for you, but it'll be different for me. So anyway, we're just going to select this top hex key. That's what you want to select. Unlock your wallet. Okay. All right. So now you can only, the great thing about that, once you have that hex key, you can only send money to it. But when you access this, the My Ether wallet, you can only send money from this account. So when you're at this point, you can only send money to it. So this is the good thing here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Coinbase account, my personal account here, or whatever account you've set up. I'm going to select the My Ether wallet, but I'm going to make sure that I hit that receive button. I'm going to hit receive. Only, see, and as it says over here on Coinbase, only send Ether to this address. So I'm going to show address, and then I'm going to copy and paste it. Copy and paste. Then I'm going to click right paste or hit Control V, and it's going to copy and paste. So we're going to send as much Ethereum as we can to this account. I'm going to send 2.1 Ether to my Coinbase. I'm going to send it back. Again, we're kind of going back to the future here. So we're going to go ahead and generate transaction. Okay. Okay, and it says check recipient address on your device and follow the instructions. So I'm going to check that Trezor wallet, that device. It's plugged into my computer still, my iMac, but I'm going to reference it. It's going to say, there's a question, send 2.1 ETH to that address. And I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm. I'm confident that I entered in that address correctly, but you can probably just double check by looking at the first 3 of that hex key. It says 0x6 in my case. and it's matching that wallet that I have here on my wallet. It says 0x6, and the last 3 digits on this hex key are 89A, and they match over here. So I'm gonna hit confirm, the right key, hit confirm, and then it says really send it. I'm gonna really send it. Confirmed. Okay. Now we're in the My Ether wallet, and it's going to ask me to do the same thing. Again, redundancy, triple checking here. It's great for OCD folks like myself. So this is the 3rd time. I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, send the transaction here. We're going to send it. Boom, done. And it's going to say it one more time. You're about to send it. Are you sure? You're sure you want to send this, Alex? I'm going to say, yes, I'm sure. Yes, I am sure. Make the transaction happen. And again, I said this took about 3 minutes and 5 seconds. That was the elapsed time that occurred from my Binance trading account to the Ether. To my Coinbase account. 3 minutes, 5 seconds. So we'll see how long it takes here. It's now 11:56 a.m. Central Time, and I'm going to make sure I go here. Your transaction has been broadcast at network. So, boom, we go verify transaction or check transaction status. We can do that over here. I think it'll point us to that. To the My Ether wallet block explorer. So they're unable to track the hash this time. But what we'll do here, we can check transaction status, see what that does. Pull up another window. I'm gonna hit X. Again, that pulls out the block explorer there. We can just keep checking it. So again, this is all open source software, folks. This is the future. I mean, it really is. No other third parties or middlemen, no banks were needed to make this happen. This is just the Ethereum network. Okay, Coinbase, they've confirmed it. We've just received 2.1 Ether in my wallet. That is 1 minute, folks. Less than 1 minute. We have potentially sent my Ether wallet, my Ether wallet Ether, the money effectively in that account, all the way around the world through the mining devices, probably down in my basement right now, my Interim Bucephalus Dev stable, to make that transaction happen. And now it's over in my Coinbase account. Which is wonderful. We're going to go ahead and reload this, refresh the window, see if it pops up. So there's a little bit of a lag, but as you can see, it'll still process. It's indicating, but you saw with Coinbase, there's a flag message from my email that's set up there. It said it's arrived. So anyway, that's it. That's wrapping up this how to send and receive Ethereum from a Trezor wallet, from a Coinbase account to a Trezor wallet. And I might break it down a little bit later, maybe after this, the 3rd part of this series release in a few weeks. Maybe how to set up a Coinbase account. Again, it's very straightforward, just like PayPal or Venmo. But we'll talk about more of it. And again, I'm considering doing a weekly podcast. I seem to be one of the emerging thought leaders out there within cryptocurrencies. So I've got a background in banking, about 5 years in banking. I'm also a software engineer. Just finishing out my last semester at GW. Pursuing a Master of Science in Information Systems Technology. So this is the future, folks. I really want you to get started on it if you could, please. And we'll continue to do it up into the future. Thank you for joining me, and hope to see you all around soon. Thank you. Let's try to wrap up the preparation here. We're going to do one thing really quick. I'm going to transition back one more time onto the screen here. We're going to download EthOS and configure it for the hard drive here. We're going to basically burn the image onto this hard drive that I put together in that parts list. And here's that Cable Matters tool. It's just a dock. This goes in there like so. I guess I'll demonstrate if you can see from my desk. I'm taking the hard drive and I'm placing it in like so. You can see it says Kingston. There it is. So it just slides right in there. Front facing Kingston. And it slips on there. So it'll be docked. And then I'll plug it in over here. We'll see it once I jump on screen. We'll get it configured here, but just have that plugged into the USB of whatever iMac laptop or PC, whatever you're using. Just have that plugged in, ready to go. But we'll jump on to the next part of this. And if for whatever reason my demonstration isn't clear, I'm going to point you over to another gentleman I've seen online. His name's Bitsby Trippin on Twitter. As it's spelled or said, BITSB Trippin, Bitsby Trippin. I'll mention him on Twitter and wherever I can on the gist. But anyway, he's got a pretty good demonstration on how to do this. And I basically am doing this from what I've learned off of him from the EthOS install. But anyway, let's go ahead and transition back onto my screen here on my desktop, and we'll go from there. We'll finish this up, and we'll get to mining. get to going over here with the GPU Shack download of EthOS. And what you'll do is you'll go ahead and go over here. You'll purchase it, add to cart, purchase it as you would any other transaction that's out there on the internet. You'll then get an email. In this email, you'll get a download link, like so down here. And you'll click on that download link. And below this email, again, I'll refer back to that message. Below it, and I don't want to go too far below, but you'll get a username and you'll get a password. Everyone will have the same username. It's ethos, and then the password will be different for everybody. So I'm going to shove this aside and close out so I don't get any annoying notifications. One more time, 1 second. I'm going to copy paste the password. Okay, and close out of that now. I'm going to acknowledge everything on the license agreement. They do want you to buy or purchase one license agreement per rig, and I have done so. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Acknowledge, click on that link. You'll hit download, and of course that will download. It should. You should get a username and password window. If you do get that, just enter in the EthOS within the window. It'll be like a window. It'll say enter in a username and password, enter in EthOS, and then your corresponding password in the email. Pretty straightforward. In this case, since I've already done it before and I was preparing for this tutorial, I didn't need to enter in that username and password. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for this download. And we're going to go do this. I'm gonna do the EthOS image burn onto the hard drive in both Mac and Windows. It's a little different. I presume most of y'all may be using Mac, but if you are using Windows, I'm going to go ahead and do Windows as well. It's actually easier in Windows, so take that in mind. So anyway, let's go ahead and dump that to the desktop. That should be the name of the compressed file you'll download from EthOS. I'll X out to there. And one other thing you're going to want to download if you're a Mac user, go to the App Store, please, and download the Unarchiver. And again, this will be referenced in the gist corresponding at the bottom of this tutorial on YouTube. You want to download the Unarchiver, open it, and you should this file should have a default path or opening with the application, the Unarchiver, or just hit open with, and it should be the Unarchiver default. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and double click this. And again, I don't mean to confuse anybody here, but once this is finished, I'm going to copy and paste this over to another desktop, another instance that I've spun up on my MacBook. I can pull it up virtually on my desktop. I don't mean to get too fancy with anybody here, but I want to keep that environment separate just so I have the SATA box connected to it and the hard drive here. So you want to get this Kingston hard drive out next while this is all extracting and going from there. So again, just assume this is now downloading to your Mac desktop right now. So assume that it's extracting now, and I'm going to copy those files over to another Mac desktop because this is connected to my SATA Cable Matters hard drive dock. So again, it's because of the way my environment's configured out here for this tutorial, I have to keep things separate. So bear that in mind. I apologize if that's somewhat confusing. So give me 1 second here while it's finishing. One thing to note, this method with Mac, it's actually slower and it's a little bit more difficult. It's easier to do in Windows, go figure. So that's a little strange to me as a Mac user. But anyway, let's go ahead and let this go. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste. Don't worry about this for what I'm doing right now. Just disregard the next two steps I'm doing. I'm going to go over to my other instance over here, and I'm going to copy and paste. So I've already copied and pasted these files. And again, just assume that that this desktop over here is what I have just done with y'all. I've downloaded that image file, the EthOS image file, and unarchived it to my desktop over here. It's another laptop that I'm using. So I'm just remotely dialed into it. So anyway, the next thing you're going to do is hit Command Spacebar, okay? And pull up Terminal. Hit Command Spacebar, type in Terminal. Finder, like I said, Terminal, and type in Terminal. You want to pull up Terminal. So then you're going to copy and paste the following commands. I'm going to copy in And one thing I want to do, just for the sake of thoroughness here, I want to make sure this is clean. Whatever, even if you get a brand new one, make sure the hard drive you're going to burn the image onto, the ethos image, make sure it's clean. So I'm going to connect this first into the dock. That dock should be connected to your iMac, or your Mac, or Windows. I'm going to say in this instance it's connected to my Mac. Okay, and then I'm going to fire up the disk utility. Of course it is, because I've already burned another disk on there. Okay, so I'm going to click on that external hard drive, the dock, and I'm going to hit erase. And I'm going to make sure it's exFAT32, and I'm going to call it Kingston. And I'll hit erase. Okay, so that's going to erase, and it should be clean. Again, this is best practice. So I'm going to eject it. Okay. All right. I'm going to unplug it, and then I'm going to plug it back in. Okay. And again, you're not going to see this window because chances are you're not running a virtual environment, but just assume that this is connected now to your Mac. Okay. So it's now connected to my Mac. I'm then going to run the following commands over here. You see them? And this will be outlined again in that gist provided, okay? I'm going to copy and paste. Just copy and paste as if they were in that gist. I'll outline it again in the gist, but then copy and paste that over, okay? And then you'll run disk util list, and that should pull up that Kingston right here. See that, Kingston? So note that it says dev disk2, that's the path, and then also the identifiers are disk2 and disk2s1. The next, we're gonna want to dismount or unmount this device. So I'm gonna copy and paste that. Again, that might be different for your environment or whatever you're using the Mac on this on your computer. But just note that this Kingston says disk2s1, so just it corresponds structurally there. So then I'm gonna hit copy paste, okay, and then I'm gonna hit enter. I'm gonna enter in my password that I used to sign into my Mac. Okay, now it's unmounted. Then I'm going to copy and paste this command, okay? Copy it and then paste it over. And again, I'm just doing everything for the sake of thoroughness. And you can see here, it's disk2, that's that identifier. That identifier should line up there with your device we're referencing, okay, that path. And then that image file, like the one we've unarchived, from EthOS, it's pointing to this file. It's referencing this file over here that we've double-clicked that image, the archived download we downloaded from EthOS, right? We downloaded this file, and then we unarchived it with the unarchiver, and now this new file now is on the desktop over on your Mac after you did all that, right? So then after we did all that, we've already done that before, right? We're just going to go ahead and hit enter with this command. It's now going to burn that image from the desktop here in Mac onto this device over here. Now bear in mind, this takes I got a good 5 or 10 minutes. I've tested this methodology. It's a little bit slower. It's actually significantly slower than what we do in Windows here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, let it finish, and then we're going to do the same thing in Windows. I want to kind of go ahead and show everyone how to do the same thing in Windows if you're using Windows. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and we'll transition into Windows. All right, folks, let's just pretend that for a moment you downloaded that EthOS into your Windows desktop. And again, lucky for you, it's actually easier to do in Windows. So take that hard drive, okay, stick it into that Cable Matters SATA dock, okay, and we're going to format this disk if it prompts here, okay, connect to Windows this time, okay. I'm going to connect it to Windows, and then I'm going to go to the disk formatter. Format is the name of it. Yeah, there we go. All right, and we're going to reference this one. I just know it's this in this case. And I'm going to go ahead and hit delete volume. Yes. And again, I'm just making sure that's clean. There is an easier way to do that, but it should be clean now. And again, just for the sake of thoroughness, I'm going to now dismount it, mount it one more time. Make sure that's registering with Mac. Now that's connected to Windows. Again, assume you downloaded that EthOS to your desktop in Windows. You need two applications to make this happen in Windows. You need the HDD raw copy tool and 7-zip. You can download this. Again, I'll reference these in this gist. This gist will be elaborated. You'll see more instructions here momentarily, or at least when I release this on YouTube. It should be on May 9th. So once that's finished, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up 7-zip within Windows. Okay, and we're going to extract that file to the desktop. So I'm going to select that file, 131.img.xz, what we downloaded from EthOS, the website, extract it. And I'm just going to hit select it, OK. Everything like this. Everything looks good. I'm going to hit OK. That should take a few minutes. So let that extract to the desktop. And after that, we're going to use HDD raw copy tool to burn that image onto the hard drive here. So let's let that go. And you can see it's this file here. That's what's going on. It's that desktop. It's that EthOS 131. Okay. That should be ready to go now, and it's in that folder. So, okay, it's in that 131.img folder. Okay, so then after we get out of here, I'm going to go ahead and find the HD raw copy tool, and I'm going to hit yes. Okay, and then I'm going to select the image file. You do that by, I'm just going to, for the sake of thoroughness here, I'm going to show everybody where that's at. Again, that's once we extracted that file, it's going to be in a folder, should be. I'm going to double click that. It's going to be that 131. Should be about 5 gigabytes. Open that up. Okay, select that as the source file, and the target is going to be that Asmit USB drive 120, assuming that you have this hard drive connected by USB. So go ahead and hit continue. It's going to burn that image onto the target. And this should take about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. It'll warn you about, yeah, you want to proceed to override everything. I'm going to hit yes. This should take about 3 minutes tops. But once that's finished, you're going to go ahead and unplug it. One final thing we're going to do while that's going, I'm going to wait here. I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but if you look over here, we're going to go over to the ASRock page, the H110 Pro BTC. That's the motherboard. Remember that? We're going to download the latest update, and that's really not too hard to do. And again, this will be referenced on this gist. That's that file there, that link there. It's going to point you over here. You're going to scroll down, and you're going to find the most recent version or BIOS update that's available. It'll be instant flash. That's what you want. And you're going to select global. So in that case, look, it's version 1.6. Most recent date is 4/13/18. The instant flash, that's what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, okay? Hit global, and then I'll download to your desktop, wherever that is. And again, I'm just doing that while we're waiting here, while that's burning. So you can do this in the same desktop, whatever you're doing right now. I'm going to go ahead and pick this USB drive now. It's just any USB drive is 16 gigabytes. And I'm going to plug it into the back of my Mac here. Could be Windows or Mac, whichever you want. Okay. Never plug this in right. My Mac. There we go. Okay. Let's pull up the disk utility if you're in Mac. And I'm going to refer to that flyer device. It's any USB device. It's the name of it. I'm going to go ahead and hit erase. Use exFAT, erase. Okay. It's going to format. Okay, and then once that's finished. Okay, now that this hard drive now is finished. Remember we burned that ISO, that EthOS? It's finished now. So I'm going to go ahead and just minimize this and actually unmount it. It's ready. So that I'm just going to set that to the side. So now that that's finished, right, I'm going to go back to that mFlyer device, and I'm going to pull up that download, that H1 Pro BTC. Assuming you're in Mac, you're just going to want to double-click that. It's a regular decompressed file, and it's going to come up like that. It'll say H1 H11B TCP16. So it's a executable instant flash file. You just drag and drop it into your USB device. Nothing fancy there. Okay, so that's finished. I'm just going to go ahead and delete these files now, clean them up, and I'm going to eject my mFlyer device, the USB device. So I'm going to set these off to the side. Now we'll go back downstairs in the mining shaft, as I like to call it, the Bucephalus Dev interim stable, in a moment. So set these to the side. Okay, that's finished. And one final thing to grab here. We are going to be mining, right? And it's going to need, that mining device is going to need a wallet to point to. So I'm going to pull up my wallet one more time for the sake of thoroughness. Plug it back into my Mac. Okay. I'm going to go to that address, wallet.trezor.io. I'm going to enter in my password as it displayed on my device. Okay. We're going to go here. I'm going to go to that My Ether wallet. Remember, it's just a recap of everything. Going there. Exit out of that. And we're going to select Trezor. Again, this is all review. I'm going to select this top address. So I'm going to note that. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And I'm going to set it over in a text file just so I can refer to that later. I'm going to type it. I'm going to type it out when we get to the command line over on EthOS. You'll see what I'm talking about when we go back down to the mine shaft, as I like to call it, as I said. So I'm just putting this in a text editor over here. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to save that just wherever on your desktop. Just save it, set it to the side. Just note it down. I'm going to reference that one. It's going to be whatever shows up there. Just reference that. That's going to be the receiving hex key address, the receiving Ether wallet address that all of your mining is going to go to. So, okay, that's where it's going to be. But I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. Doesn't necessarily need anything. That shows you my balance here. So anyway, just recapping that, we'll be good to go, folks. Stand by, and we will now transition into the next slide, which will be, you will be sitting side shotgun or shotgun with me as we configure EthOS. So enjoy. All right, folks, if you're with me up to this point, let's go over this and just go ahead and fire it up. I'm assuming at this point you know exactly how to connect all ports and your keyboards for this install. So the first thing we're going to do is turn on the rig. I'm going to turn it on, as I've demonstrated before. And then I'm going to continuously hit the F2 key until we see the BIOS prompt. That's just going to be a user interface prompting us to configure some BIOS settings. So I'm going to keep hitting F2 until we see it. Again, it's the F2 key. And if you don't see it, on the disconnect and reconnect the HDMI cable from the monitor. Sometimes that helps. And like it did. Okay, perfectly. So I just did that. And okay, so there's a toolbar up top. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Tool. And then we're going to select Instant Flash. You double click this, see where my arrow is. It's going to go right for that toolbar, or that Instant Flash highlight. I'm going to double click that. And that's going to contain the BIOS update we downloaded from the ASRock H110 website that we unarchived or unzipped on our Macs, and we then took that BIOS modification, that BIOS file update, and then upload it to that drive. One thing I want to clarify: make sure you format that USB drive for FAT32 or MS-DOS. MS-DOS, FAT32. That's how you would format that first. Format that USB drive for FAT32 or MS-DOS before you upload that unarchived or unzipped file from the ASRock H110 file. I demonstrated that before, but I don't think I clarified how to format that USB drive. I think I may have mistakenly formatted it for exFAT, but again, make sure it's FAT32 MS-DOS. Then upload that file. That's unzipped or unarchived. After that, this is the point you'd be at. You'd be using that USB drive, you'd plug it into your build or your motherboard there, as I demonstrated before in another transition. Go ahead and double click this, and it'll automatically find that file on that USB drive. Make sure you don't have any other files in that drive, just for the sake of clarity. Anything else contained on that USB drive, because then it'll automatically find it like so. Go ahead and hit update. This will take about 2 minutes. It'll say, do you want to update UEFI to 8? Okay, don't touch anything. Again, I apologize for the crudity of this demonstration. It's really a problem with the builds. I haven't found a better way to optimize for multimedia yet. These minor rigs really aren't great for multimedia environments. But if you get into Windows, which we will in the part 3 of this series, I might try to do some sort of a screencast there. But again, it's really not much I can do in a BIOS setting like this. Okay, it's programming success. Excellent. Press enter to reboot the system. One more thing I'm going to do, I'm going to caution you all to do that again. Keep hitting F2 until you see that BIOS update one more time. And we're going to reconfigure the boot drive setup. And then you're going to select on the top right, it says boot over here. Select boot on that toolbar, and then make sure on boot option 1 up here, it says SATA 3 or SATA whatever connection you're using. It says SATA Kingston. That's the hard drive that contains this hard drive. That's how you go like there. And I'm not going to do any BIOS hacks or mods. I'm going to save that for part 3 where we strap the cards for overclocking. I'll do some demonstrations there what we can do in the BIOS to sort of optimize the build for optimal hash rates, but we'll save that again later. So then after that we've done that, hit exit. Might be a little sluggish. For whatever reason, yeah. Exit out of that. I'm gonna hit exit. Okay, then save changes and exit. Okay, and now EthOS will basically load automatically, it should. And we'll transition into the next slide with EthOS, but I'll leave this here for now. The first thing I'll do is hit mind stop when we enter EthOS. Excellent, so it's pulling up EthOS. Okay, we see EthOS pop up. I'm gonna hit right click desktop. You can just refer to your right screen. I'm just doing that just for this tutorial. I'm just getting the desktop set up. I'm gonna hit mind stop. M-I-N-E-S-T-O-P, that stops everything. And we'll transition to the next slide and I'll show you what's going on after this. All right, folks, if you're joining me now, I'm gonna go ahead and reboot it again. EthOS, we got the BIOS set up. I hit mind stop on the first time around again, but I'm just gonna do this again for the sake of thoroughness. I'm rebooting the build. Just hitting the reboot button, or just basically powering off the build and then just restarting it. So here we go. again, I really apologize for the crudity of the demonstration here, but I don't have these builds configured for multimedia. I'm going to see what I can do in the third part of this series with Microsoft, since we're going to be using that. But bear with me here as we boot it up. Okay, so I'm going to hit mine stop so I can hear myself, and I'm going to pop up the second desktop. So again, type in mine stop, all one string and one word, MINESTOP, and then the first thing I'm going to do is change your password. Change your password, type in PASSWD. And you'll be prompted to enter in a new password. The default password for all first-time installs is live, L-I-V-E. I've already changed my password, so it's going to say the password's incorrect. But after you type in live, it'll ask you to type in a new password and then re-enter it to confirm. So anyway, once that's over with, go ahead and do it that way. The next command, we're going to update ethos. So it's going to be sudo space ethos /update. I'm sorry, not / hyphen update. And we'll go type that in. And then after it finishes updating, we're going to sudo reboot. Okay, sudo reboot. Again, I'm going to right click and hit the window so we can all see this big screen possible here. One moment, please. So you'll see the command line window pop up in the bottom right of your screen. Generally, you should. Again, I'm just only right-clicking and hitting desktop 2 to bring the terminal or command line window in a bigger view, so it's optimal for this demonstration. Okay, so the next command is sudo ethos update miners. That sort of updates all of the whatever is on ethos, basically upgrades the onboard GPUs that we have. Update miners, sudo update. Actually, first thing I want to do is hit mine stop, and then do that. Sudo ethos dash update, sudo update, sorry. Sudo update hyphen miners. And I'll have all these commands in that gist below this. It'll be in the description field within YouTube. You'll see these commands in a gist, basically a web page that contains the instructions of what to do. So sudo update miners, and after that we'll reboot one more time, and then we'll modify the local config file and the remote config file. Okay, one more time, sudo reboot. Okay, bring the terminal window in view one more time. Okay, there it is. And next we're gonna go ahead and edit that remote conf file. So hit vi space remote.conf. And there'll be some text up here. Make sure you just delete all this text. I've already done this before for the sake of the demonstration. Delete all of that and hit escape, shift, colon. So you're just hitting the colon key and then X. So you just want to hit escape, colon, X. That writes the file. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the miners once again because I can't hear myself. And now we're going to edit that local config file for mining. So that's vi-local.conf. And you'll see these in the gist. That's vi again space local.conf. That's how you get into this file here. So the first thing we're going to do is configure the wallet. There'll be a proxy wallet. You'll make it appear like so. You can make it exactly appear like mine. Delete all the text. There is a default wallet key that's there already. Go ahead and delete that, and then start typing in your wallet, your hex key. And that hex key was, remember, we created that with the Trezor wallet, that MyEther wallet recipient key. Make sure you type that in, the recipient address. Type that there. That's mine. It's going to be unique to me and different from yours. Type it all the way in, and then hit dot, and then you'll name the worker. I named the convention. You can maybe use baseball teams or football players or football teams. I don't know, something, whatever you want to do. But Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. So anyway, hit dot, and then type in the worker name like I did at this demonstration. I called it Bucephalus. And then /, and then your email address you want to have to receive notifications. I have mine, info@bucephalus.io. I typed that in there, great, okay. Next thing is the wallet addresses. Proxy pool 1 is eth-us-east1.nanopool.org 999. If you're going to follow my tutorial here, that's what you're going to want to do. After that, same deal there, proxy pool 2, eth-us-west1.nanopool.org 9999. Again, same deal there. And again, this will be detailed in that gist. A couple other hacks we can do while we're here. And again, if you want to write in here, you have to hit the insert key. So I'm going to hit the insert key, and I'm going to write in the following: global core 1200. These are overclocking conditions that I found to be pretty good for the RX 580s. Global core 1200. Oops. Core 1200. Global mem. It's hard for me to type around this camera. Global mem 2175. And then global fan 90. You can just leave the global fan at 85 up there. See, like that. Okay. And then, so you've modified your build configurations here. So anyway, same deal there with the escape key, colon, X. So that's, again, a shift key, colon, X. You're hitting, basically want to hit escape, colon, X. That's what you want to do. Enter, and then now we'll be able to start overclocking. So now it's sudo, sudo ethos, pardon me, I want to make sure that's right, sudo ethos-overclock. Yeah, you want to reboot this after you do that. So I'm going to reboot one more time. And after that, I'll enter the same thing again. Sudo ethos-overclock. And if you want to get those commands, the best way to sort of recover them quickly is just hit the top arrow, and that'll go through your command line history. So I'll wrap it up here and we'll be good to go, folks. We'll transition to the last slide. I'll do one more desktop screencast of how to configure the payment schedule or payout schedule with Nanopool and go from there. I'm going to do the minimum denomination, which is 0.2 Ether, and go from there. And one last time, I'll get the different view up for you all. Desktop 2 terminal. I'll scroll up to get that last key, sudo ethos-overclock. And we should be good to go. You'll hear your fan spin up. You can hear that faint in the background and go from there. So again, folks, let's transition to the last slide of me on the desktop here. We'll go in to configure the Nanopool settings and we'll be done and you'll be ready to go for mining. Thank you. All right, folks, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead and pull up that URL up here. That's https://eth.nanopool.org/account/your hex key. And in my case, that was the Ether wallet we had set up, that recipient address. So that's what we had used. Remember, we had configured that in the config file for Ethos. So now we're good to go with Nanopool. Everything is reading out here. We're getting a hash rate. It's positive here. Currently, right now, it's burning at 119 megahertz a second. And these aren't overclocked yet. These GPUs, this worker isn't overclocked yet. So we could probably max this out. It was topping out, let's see, at about 150, 153. We might be able to get to 180 or 190, which will be a pretty good burn for 6 on these RX 580 GPUs. So anyway, that's the worker name. Remember, it was the hex decimal, that address, worker name. And that was, so this was that hex key .bucephalus, and it's /info@bucephalus.io. So if there are any changes or modifications, like let's say your monitor goes offline for whatever reason, you lose a connection or power drops, you'll get an email or a notification. You can then, one thing I would say you could do is change the minimum payout. Try to do 0.2 or 0.25 maybe, and then you confirm this by entering your email that was chained to that hex key. Remember, it was the hex key name. So in my case, it was my hex key address up there, .bucephalus /info@bucephalus.io. So I enter in that email address, that company address. Again, it could be your personal address, whatever you want. And then you hit apply changes. For whatever reason, this is not working right now. For whatever reason, it's incorrect password. But I would wait maybe a day or two. It says you basically have to sort of wait. Maybe the system's not pulling in quite yet. So wait a couple of days maybe. Wait to where you have a minimum payout close to that amount at 0.2 or 0.25 or whatever, and then try to move it off of there. It should work for you. And again, my miner's been going off for less than an hour, about an hour. So that could explain the incorrect password, but that's how you do it. We've obviously set up the config file correctly because Nanopool is registering that miner worker, and it's currently hashing at about 119 megahertz a second. So again, you just go there at settings, you enter in your email that you had changed that worker, enter in the minimum payout, and apply changes, and you're good to go. So that wraps it up, folks. You're mining. Call yourself a miner. We're good to go. I'm going to jump off the screen and give you a little bon voyage here, and then hopefully we'll get into part 3 in the next couple of weeks. I'm thinking maybe mid-May or maybe late May, so we'll see what happens. Okay, folks, congratulations. If you made it through this tutorial sitting shotgun with me as instructed, you should be able to enjoy your new miner. Should be hashing right around 140 megahertz a second, and that's great. So if you really enjoyed this, I am so proud of you for sticking through the tutorial and building your own miner. If you hang tight for, I guess that's going to be the first week of June, I will go ahead and release the final part of this series, Bucephalus Mine Part 3, how to overclock your GPUs. And we'll see how much more of a hash rate we can get per GPU with the mining guide that I've discovered and rolled out. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. Please stand by for the first week of June, and we'll conclude this series with Part 3. And how to overclock your GPUs. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed it.